Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we're talking about FinOps and how it can get your whole cloud strategy working in perfect harmony, kind of like a well-conducted symphony.
So let's kick things off with a question that probably hits close to home for a lot of you. When it comes to cloud costs, are all your teams playing from the same sheet music? Or does it feel more like a chaotic rehearsal where everyone's just kind of doing their own thing?
And here's the big secret. Unmanaged cloud spend? It's usually not a tech problem. Nope, it's a collaboration problem. It's less about servers and software and way more about getting your people and your processes totally in sync.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, the collaboration problem itself. Then, what intersecting disciplines actually are. We'll see how everyone plays a role, walk through the path to maturity, and finally, figure out how to measure success.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the cloud collaboration problem, or as we're calling it, the sound of silos. This really sets the stage for why we're even talking about this stuff.
The public cloud moves blazing fast, and that speed can really shake things up. What happens is teams like finance, IT, and security, they end up in their own little worlds, their own silos, right? Each with their own data, their own goals, and what you get is just organizational noise, a real mess where nobody has the full picture of what things actually cost and what value you're getting.
So, how do we fix all this chaos? How do we get everyone playing in concert? Well, it all starts with creating a shared framework. The actual sheet music for your cloud orchestra.
And the FinOps framework has a really powerful idea for this. It's called Intersecting Disciplines. It's basically just the practice of getting all these interconnected teams, what the framework calls allied personas, to coordinate their activities. The goal? To get everyone's work integrated into one single organizational cloud strategy. Yep, these are the different sections of your orchestra.
So, let's meet the key players, these allied personas. You've got IT financial management, the folks tracking the money, IT asset management, software asset management, all the way to IT security, who manage risk, and even sustainability. Every single one of these groups has a totally unique and essential role to play. And for FinOps to work, you've got to connect with all of them.
Okay, now this is where it gets really cool. The framework doesn't just vaguely say, hey, you should all collaborate. No, it defines specific critical jobs for each team. It's not just about sitting in meetings together. It's about knowing exactly what your responsibilities are.
And this table just lays it out so clearly. Look at this. Engineering's job, properly tag resources so you can actually attribute costs. Then finance comes in, takes that data, and calculates the real total cost of ownership and ROI. They answer that all-important question. Are we getting our money's worth? See? Everyone has a distinct and absolutely crucial part to play.
All right, so how does this actually happen in the real world? Because let's be honest, this level of collaboration doesn't just appear overnight. It's a journey, right? It has clear stages. It's all about moving from that noisy rehearsal to a totally polished performance.
So at the very beginning, you're in the crawl stage. And here, everybody's pretty much operating independently. Your FinOps team understands cloud assets and costs, but your other allied teams, they have their own separate understanding of all the on-prem stuff. The knowledge is totally siloed. They're just not really talking to each other yet.
Then, you start to walk. This is where things get way more active. Teams start to build a shared language, a common taxonomy for assets and costs. They actually start reconciling cloud and on-prem data to get a clearer picture. And, super important, they begin consulting each other on big decisions, like whether to bring existing licenses into the cloud.
And finally, you get to the run stage. This is the ideal state, right? Here, collaboration is just seamless. It's often automated. You've got a common taxonomy for calculating the real TCO and ROI, you're tracking savings from things like license optimization, and everyone is aligned, working together to optimize the entire IT asset landscape. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. This collaboration isn't just about feeling good and having nice meetings. It's about achieving real, tangible business outcomes that you can actually measure. This is the applause at the end of the performance.
So, what does success actually look like? Well, two big things. First, consistent reporting. That means the FinOps team and the allied teams are using the same data and they're getting the same results. No more conflicting reports. And second, coordinated policy. Teams are actually talking to each other before making any big changes to financial policies.
And if you want a really key metric to track, look no further than tag compliance. Why is this percentage so important? Because tagging is the foundation for everything.
If your resources are tagged correctly according to your policy, you can attribute costs properly. It's the bedrock of the whole system.
And when you visualize it like this, it just makes everything so clear. I mean, 85% compliant, that's pretty good. But that other 15%, the non-compliant and untagged stuff, that's a blind spot. That's money you can't properly account for. It's an area of risk that you've got to address, and that takes, you guessed it, collaboration.
So, at the end of the day, it really boils down to this question. Is your organization just a collection of talented soloists, each doing their own thing? Or are you building a true symphony? Because moving from that chaos to real harmony, well, it all depends on your answer.